Hello, and welcome to Soul Society. I take care of my mind. I take care of my body. I am stable and attractive. And if this video found you, I'm willing to bet that you probably are too. So this is a very specific topic we're going to get into today, but it's something that I see happen a lot in the world. So, being unattainable and everyone's dream. So why are you everyone's dream? Well, you've taken care of your body and you've taken care of your mind. So a lot of people, they are taking care of their bodies, but they're not taking care of their minds. And going further than this, they're taking care of their image instead of taking care of their minds. They're curating an image of themselves for the world to see. And oftentimes, there can even be an image of authenticity curated and shown to the world without the authenticity actually going further than just skin deep. Not everyone has cultivated a joy inside of themselves. Not everyone has trust in the world or a positive outlook on it. So you are the dream. And people see this and they want access to it. But a lot of people have not created a beautiful relationship with their own mind. They might not have trust in the world. They might not have a positive outlook on humanity. Their inner world might be a hellscape, while yours is a wonderland. But you don't know that just by the surface. And this positive outlook on the world, this sense of trust, this inner peace that you can have, is not something that you have to have a perfect life to attain. I didn't necessarily grow up with this myself either. For most of my life, I was taught by my caregivers that the world is a very scary place, and I grew up in a very small town, and whenever we would go on a trip and we'd have to get off the highway and go into a city, my caregivers would say, you have to duck your head and not look out the window, because if you do, then somebody's going to shoot you. That's not true. I mean, I went into these cities like in my early adulthood after leaving home, and it was like, why would they say that? I don't know. They were just instilling a fear in me that was really not based in truth. And there were also parts of myself that I had to hide from them, my caregivers, in order to maintain connection with them. So I certainly had to wear an image myself. So I, having gone through being instilled with fear and having to wear a mask, I knew inside of me all the while that that's not how I wanted to exist in the world and relate to the world. So as soon as I was old enough, I set out to unlearn. And the reason I give this backstory is because I think so often we give people the benefit of the doubt a little too often. We think that oh, this person had a hard go at it, and they're not able to find the light within themselves because of their external circumstances. And there's people in the world that, in this In the developed world, if you're watching this on a screen, you cannot even imagine the amount of so-called suffering that people go through in so many parts of this planet, yet they're still able to find a joy within themselves and dance with their families and cook and enjoy their lives and really have um, like a light heart and being. So while it is very difficult to pull yourself out of a dark space, I do believe um, it is up to the individual to do that. And life, I'm not saying that life is not difficult and we all face um, our struggles, but ultimately, I think this comes down to people don't want to give up the image of themselves that they present to the world for the actual relationship with life force. Um, and that requires stepping into authenticity. And that's a long journey, especially for somebody who maybe their whole life did have to wear a mask and continues to believe that they have to wear a mask. It's a very hard world, I'm not going to lie. I mean, especially in America, where I'm filming this from. I mean, we all go to school and we're told how we're supposed to exist in the world. I mean, there's so much that's being asked of us by the society that we grow up in. So it is very difficult, I'm not going to lie, to step into your authentic self. But if you are somebody who has done this for yourself, you can't spend your whole life being a martyr and giving yourself away to people who have not. If you have developed this relationship with life force instead of a relationship with the image to be upheld, you're probably operating from a vibration that's closer to clarity, which is of truth. And truth is a very high vibration that feels wonderful to exist in, as opposed to people who are operating from image, which is linked to deception, which is a much lower vibration to be operating from. And I'm not saying this with any moral judgment on anyone. I mean, this is nobody is better or worse for operating from certain vantage points. We all have different life experiences that lead us to different ways that we go about the world. But I will say that operating from a place of truth lets us actually feel safe in our bodies and relax. And it feels much better than deception, where we don't really have clarity and it's confusing and it just feels unsafe. And part of being in the higher frequency, especially if it's something that you've newly stepped into or you have to still figure out how to handle, is that you're not really considering that people can be operating from a lower place. Because you're not doing that and you're not assuming people are doing that. That's not what you see in the world. So you by default are giving people of the benefit of the doubt, and people who are operating from a lower place, you aren't understanding that they can be deceptive by default. And why do they do this? Because they want to be in your light. And we can't blame them. Of course they do. Of course they do. But they're not looking to be inspired. And we can inspire other people, of course. That is just such a wonderful part of being human on this planet, is that we can inspire others to rise, and people uplifting people. I mean, that is just ultimately what we are striving for, isn't it? But not everyone is looking to actually do the work and rise. A lot of people are just looking to possess rather than embody. So when they're looking to possess rather than embody, they're not going to do the work of life to get to that place themselves, but they like the feeling of the high vibration, and they like the image of it, of course, because remember, these people are often obsessed with image. Um, so they get to walk around with you and the image of high vibration and truth is attached to them without them ever having to embody it themselves. So they get the image of it and the access to it without ever having to do the work of life. And that leaves them at a disservice as well. And it also leaves you at a disservice because you're spending so much energy eventually, because eventually you will realize that this person is not exactly what you thought they were from the image that they presented. And then you're going to be trying to figure out what's going on here. You're going to be doing a lot of energetic digging around, and that's exhausting to try to do the work of life for somebody else. And not only is it exhausting, it's impossible. And the person trying to uphold the image is spending so much energy trying to uphold this image that you were initially deceived by. But eventually, the mask falls away. So what are we left with here? It seems like we've lost a lot, but both parties also stand to gain. Eventually, this dynamic will need to collapse, and the person who's operating from image, their access to life force will be cut off from them, but they'll still want it, so they've gotten a taste of it, and so hopefully that they're inspired to seek it out for themselves. That would be best case scenario for that person. And the person who already has the high vibration, what are they walking away with? It seems like they've been taken from a lot here. But in fact, they are walking away with a lot. They might have lost a lot of energy, but they're now walking away with a new found sense of intuition. So now they'll be able to see these people who are wearing these masks from a mile away, and they'll know who to engage with and who not to engage with a little bit clearer, which is extremely valuable. And this is where we circle back to becoming unattainable. Becoming unattainable on your journey to your higher self and your higher purpose, whatever that may be. Because when you are getting distracted by these lower vibrational entities, it's kind of throwing you off your course for whatever path that you want to be on in your life. But you have to do this at some point. You have to realize this, to gain this intuition. But you don't have to do it over and over again. You can just do it once and gain the intuition, and you now have a sort of energetic force field on you now that you have this intuition, because it's very important that you recognize your power and the value that you bring with life force flowing through you. People can see that radiating off of you. But now, instead of people thinking that they can just go in there and feed from that, you have a sort of energetic force field now. So people, when you have the intuition of knowing who and who not to engage with at a deep level, people are going to see that on you, and they're not going to mess with you if they don't have the best intentions. Whereas in the past, there have been probably a lot of people with not the best intentions that thought that they could get something out of you. Oftentimes, like I said, they'll be holding something like money or power, business connections, or sexual desire over your head um, in order to maintain a closeness with you. But no longer will you allow this. And nobody ever took your light. You might be drained of your energy, but you have not been drained of your light. You're just like the sun. No matter who's standing in your light, it does not stop shining. Even if it's drawing energy like a solar panel, gaining energy from the sun does not make the sun shine any less brighter. And this dynamic and this relationship might also be one of your stepping stones to giving up your own image. You're asking yourself, what do I really want here? What really feels good to me? So I got cut off there. I don't know what happened, but anyway, I hope that this video was helpful to anyone who might have found themselves in this dynamic. That's why I did this time. No, it's fine. Okay. And I also have to say that we have to, we have to have compassion for both sides of this dynamic. We cannot blame somebody who wants to stand in our light and wants access to that, who can't find it within themselves, but you have to give them the gift of personal accountability in a way, instead of being their connection to life force. You have to send them out, and they need to find that for themselves. So thank you for watching, and if you have anything to share on this topic or any advice for anyone who might have found themselves in this dynamic, please share it with us in the comments. And I love you all very much, and have a beautiful rest of your day.